Just know that they will see you.
Okay.
Because everyone's saying, yeah. You can fix your hair. Is
I
that
have
what
like
you
a
do?
mirror too, like right here, so it's like perfect.
Oh my god, I have that same exact mirror.
Really?
And it lights up too, right?
It lights up. Yeah.
This one time I was on what was it? I was on a show and I had like the worst lighting, so I was just like, here's my mirror. It was amazing.
So good. So good.
Hey, if you guys are just tuning in, let us know where you're watching from. We'll get started in about 4 minutes. I've got the amazing, the wonderful Steven.
Hi.
Alright, let's give a shout out to Mike Alton, who is tuning in. We're gonna move his comment up here. There's Mike.
Right here.
That's right. Wait. I feel like we're gonna have a bunch of gifts for the show.
So many gifts. We'll transcend space-time quarantine in this live stream.
This is gonna be good.
I know. It's like it's flipped on my screen, so I have to like make sure I'm. It's like, you know, when you're cutting your hair and you're looking at the mirror, and you're like, which way am I going?
Yes. Which is why it's easy for me because I know where my sign is. I'm like, oh, my sign is always over there. So then I guess it's always over there.
Yeah.
It's a good trick.
What do I have over here? I have I have some candles over here. Some scented candles and a pair of headphones and a yoga block. So.
I love it. Hey, what's up, Mike Alton? Thank you so much for tuning in. So wonderful to see you, my friend. And if you are watching in the social media strategist group, Facebook is just going to show me the F icon. So if you want to head over to the main Facebook page, then I can see you. I can see your comments in there. Oh my god, my daughter was imitating me today, Steven.
Yeah.
She was saying like,
What's she doing?
she's like, Mom, I'm going to copy you. And I was like, well, what does mommy do when she's on a call? She's all like, okay, You're too good. You're too good at
Perfect. You're hired.
You're hired. I need a stunt double. Come on, coworker. It's amazing. Yeah.
Do you bring her on your live streams?
I do not. She does her own cameo appearances. Like, she'll come through and just be like, okay, you know, or if she really needs something. She kind of knows how to manipulate mom. Okay, so I actually have like this light that's outside of my office and it's red to be like, no, you know, red means no go. But sometimes she doesn't care. This one time I was live streaming to an audience of like 700 people live, and homegirl like kicked open the door. And she goes, "This iPad sucks," and I was like, "Oh!" And I like, it was funny because you could see like in the replay where my face goes, "Oh!"
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to have like this scene now where it goes, we're experiencing technical difficulties, and then
Bathroom break.
someone needs to go feed the hamster and go about it that way. That's good.
That's fun.
Do you get any interruptions, like noisy neighbors, or just like a cat or a pet that just like starts crawling on keyboards?
Because I'm in New York City and my apartment window faces into the street, sometimes I'll get, if it's really late at night, I'll have some people screaming. And if it's usually in the daytime, I'll have like the garbage, you know, the beep, beep, beep. Yeah. And I'm like,
That's no fair. Yeah, I actually plan my show around when the garbage guy comes and all that stuff. And
smart.
that's why I told you I got like this.
It makes a difference.
It makes
It's
a
loud.
difference. Yeah, it gets loud, and you're just like, oh. But whatever, we're doing the best that we can. As far as someone who's saying, is my name showing now? No, you're like a mysterious viewer to me. It's like suspense. It's all suspense. Someone's saying that they're loving the pre-show convo. That's because we're ridiculous. All right. All right, let's start the show.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and kick these things
Uh,
off. 1 second. All right, you guys. Welcome to a new episode of Lights, Camera, Live. And if you just caught the intro, you are absolutely going to love my guest because he cracks me up. I've known him. Oh my God, let me put you up on the screen because this is going to be hilarious. Okay, Steven, how long have we known each other?
Too long.
Well, you say it like a bad thing.
2011, yeah.
2011,
Yeah.
which was
And we,
hilarious because I was like, Steven, you look exactly the
yeah.
same with like your glowing skin and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, girl, you look the same too. And I was like, no, shut up. I look way better from like
I was like,
9 years ago.
yes, okay, yes, you look better. But yeah, we've known each other for 9 years, and I swear to God, Stephanie, you have not aged one bit. You reversed aged.
Asian don't raisin. Hashtag Asian
Asian
don't
generation.
raisin. That's totally how it works out. So if you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about live streaming and how it's transforming activism. Because if you haven't noticed, you know, our families are online, our communities online. It used to be, from IRL to URL, right? So hit me with
Yes.
that Discord server, that messenger room chat, that live stream. Let's go find each other. And we're finding a lot of like activism is happening because we want to be a part of community and we want to see change. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring on Steven, because he's absolutely amazing. He has done so much. I'm not even going to like pretend like I know everything that he does, but he is brilliant. And the thing about you, Steven, is when I first met you, like you said, you were a front end developer slash graphic designer, super talented. It's crazy to see you now because we reconnected again over the Leap into Live Streaming
Yeah.
Bootcamp, and you like popped in. And I was like, is that you,
I was
Steven?
like, what's up?
Is that you, Steven? Or is your dad Steven? Because I know someone that looks exactly like you.
It's like, oh my gosh, yes, this is amazing. I love it. Star heart.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, Steven, go ahead and tell them like
Yeah.
everything that you do. Like, because right now you're the host of the Yellow Glitter podcast. I want you to tell people like what that is exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do a lot of things. I'm a podcast host of Yellow Glitter, which is a podcast for queer Asian perspectives, where I talk about all the issues around first, second generation issues, as well as inviting awesome queer Asian guests. I've had Margaret Cho, Ian Alexander from the OA, and also here in New York City, where I live right now, I host support groups, and we've had to move from the physical space into the digital space, but I host support groups for Asian folks, for queer Asian folks, and yeah, just a lot of initiatives creating safe spaces for marginalized communities.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love that. I love it because even with clients that I work with, where we
yeah,
talk about like bystander training and just stuff like that, we used to do that in person, and we've now had to shift it.
yeah,
We've had to shift online
yeah.
because we just crave that sense of belongingness. We crave community
Mhm.
and connection, and this is why I wanted to bring you onto the show because for your audience in particular, if you don't live in a neighborhood with people that look like you, sound like you, or share the same belief, that could be hard. And you're creating that
Very.
space for them.
Mhm.
And I love that.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is right now where everyone had to move digital, it opens a door for everyone all around the world to step into those spaces, whatever you create. And so the support groups where we had folks from Brooklyn, from Manhattan, just all around New York City, evolved into this digital space where I had folks dialing in from Australia, from the Philippines, from the UK. And it was just so having a support group with folks all around the world, it's been absolutely powerful just to see different perspectives from all around the world that really resonate on the same issues. And so I think what it's done is it's just brought together so many folks with all of these missions
Yeah.
to really improve equity amongst all of us. Yeah.
When you decided to do that, was it because you just saw that there was a lack of that in the online community, and so you wanted to take on that, not necessarily a burden, but that opportunity?
Yeah. Yeah. I I've made many shifts in my career, and I think one of the biggest shifts I made in my career was in last year. Actually, no, 2 years ago. I'm like losing track of time. I just went off. I quit my job. I meditated all around the world, and I practiced meditation in Japan and Thailand and India. And what was really shocking was to practice and study meditation in Asian countries and still being the minority,
Oh,
surprisingly, which is crazy. And so, just knowing that these spaces where we can engage with folks who are akin to us, I think is just disappearing so quickly and so rapidly all around the world. And what I'm trying to do is create these safe spaces where folks can get together, talk about similar issues that they're going through.
yeah.
And yeah. And so, as a part of that, I launched a nonprofit earlier this year, really to help empower other people to also create support groups that they want.
Wow.
And really, the idea is for myself not to host it, but to empower other folks to host their own support groups, to be able to talk to other people. Because I think too often, yeah,
I'm like, do you have a mom support group? Because I'm
yeah,
like, here's like nervous
absolutely.
breakdown, and I'm like right there on the cusp.
I know parents are just struggling, especially right now, right?
Yeah.
I see it with two, especially in multi-parent housing dwellings where you have both parents working and
Yeah.
trying to go on meetings, right? You have one parent in one corner of the room trying to hop on a call during a meeting. Another parent is like in the other corner of the room. And what I want to create is just an empowerment space also to tell people you're more than empowered to create the space and support groups that you want to lead and create.
Yeah.
And too often we have these titles in the way, we have all these things that we tell ourselves we're not good enough, we're not enough to host these spaces.
Yeah.
And so, really, in the next year is to launch a program to help empower folks to create the spaces themselves as well. Yeah.
You're amazing, Steven. I'm like, what have I
Yeah.
accomplished today? I made breakfast for my child. We played hopscotch. I got this show together. But
I mean, this show is impressive. Kid you
thank you.
not. You all visiting. We dialed in like 30 minutes before, and she's like, "Okay, let me run you through the logistics, and let me just show you all the screens, and just." Stephanie is a pro, let me tell you. I've been on many live streams, and she's just so buttoned up.
You
Yeah,
know, it's one of those things where I'm blessed to have like a guest like you.
yeah,
It's very much like, oh, I want to make you look amazing. I want you to have your sound bites. I want you to repurpose it. I'm
yeah,
totally making a
yeah,
gif of the whole like this.
yeah, yeah.
And maybe we'll put like an overlay where like the glitter comes through.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
when you guys are here, we're talking about live streaming and how it's transforming activism, and we'll get
mhm.
to that. But I wanted to go ahead and
Yep.
give a shout out to someone real quick. A really good friend of mine, Sean Doc Boyd, who helped put together the intro. If you loved it, if you loved how it looked, how it was designed, I give it up to him. Go check him out, Doc Rock Tips. He's absolutely amazing. You'll find him dropping a lot of knowledge bombs in in the Ecamm Live community. So go find him, go find his show because he's always like giving the good good. It's all the good with Doc, and you gotta love that about him. All right, so Stephen, here
Yes.
is a comment from Tim Sohn, and he's saying global programs are amazing. He launched a
Mhm.
global live streaming founders program when COVID started, and people joined from US, India, Canada, South Africa.
Mhm.
It's awesome to engage with other people from around the world to hear different perspectives. So yeah, it's also
Powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
when you were saying like, oh, I had a listener from this part of the
Mhm.
world and blah, and I was like, it's so interesting. Where I'm like, what, you in Guam? Like Lights Camera
Yeah.
Live has come to Guam, and like the Yellow Glitter podcast is
Yeah.
everywhere. How does that
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think what we underestimate are the enormity, just the power of our own personal stories and how it might impact folks that don't live around us. And Yellow Glitter is a podcast really around the perspectives of queer Asian identity. And where it resonates most, really surprisingly, are the folks in middle America, the Asian folks who are just by themselves and just listening to the podcast and just sending me these messages on Instagram, Facebook, just saying, oh my gosh, I thought I was just, thinking these thoughts all by myself. And
Yeah.
I just never knew I had other folks who, just went through the same experiences, had the same feelings about certain things. And
Yeah.
I think the power of just what we have the opportunity to do right now with all these, live streaming, creating content that is global, international, really is to share our stories and have the people who feel that, and have the folks who felt that they were never heard to finally feel as if they're heard. And we have 7.7 billion people, right? It
Yeah.
could be 7.8 now on this planet, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy. And the fact that, we sometimes think we're the only ones going through something. I guarantee there's someone going through something very similar right now at the
Yeah.
same time as you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about live streaming and how it's actually
Yep.
transforming activism. And when
Yep.
I talk about activism, I'm talking about like everything, full
Yep.
spectrum, right? Because
Yep.
one of like, I don't know if you saw the comment earlier today, but on my Facebook page, someone was talking about like, what do you do if like the whole country pulls the plug on the internet? And I was like, what? That stuff happens?
Yep. Yep.
Did not know that. So where are
It
you
happens
seeing
in these other countries around the world, North Korea, they're not
Hong
connected.
Kong? Yeah.
Hong Kong just swept out under the rug. Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so what are some things where you've noticed that live streaming
Yeah.
is helping to pave the way when it comes to equity?
Yeah. Yeah. So many things that are happening right now. I think the biggest important really thing about live streaming is just being able to document something in real time and have it be fed all around the world. And so what we're seeing in the United States, at least with Black Lives Matter, and especially stuff that's happening in Portland right now,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
yeah, we're able to see it real time, unfiltered. And I think the what we really relied on the news was just packaging up things beautifully. But now we have every single person as their own media company, essentially, right? On their Instagram, Facebook, wherever, publishing on the ground feeds of what's happening. And so the speed and the agility of information being passed from groups of activism, activist groups, or other folks just around the world, I think has never been experienced before. Yeah.
I love how you laid that out about how it is unfiltered. It's not
Yeah.
packaged to show just one narrative. I
Yeah.
think the whole Portland stuff, that is crazy to
Yeah.
see. Like I don't hang out on Facebook a lot, which is kind of crazy to say because
Yeah.
I stream on Facebook, but I feel like I could hang
Yeah.
out on Reddit and
Yeah.
there's different forums I can follow and
Yeah.
you're just like, what the is
Yeah.
this really happening? And I tend to find that some of the most craziest things that are happening at
Yeah.
protest and riots and all that other stuff, I generally find on Reddit first, and then it
Yeah.
somehow finds its way over to Facebook
Mhm.
like 5 weeks later, and you're like, wait,
Mhm.
this has been happening. Um,
Yeah.
and with live streaming, wow, it's your on the ground news reporting,
Yeah.
completely unfiltered. And there's this one guy here in San Diego where they're talking about the Black Lives Matter protest, and his name was
Yeah.
Arturo. I don't know if you've heard about this. Did you hear about
Yeah.
this from any of the girls from Geary?
Mm-mm.
There
Mm-mm.
is like
Yeah.
this viral live streamer. His name was
Yeah.
Arturo, but he was walked everywhere, all downtown, and then at one point, I think his Gucci bag got stolen, right? And it became like this meme of like, did anyone find like Arturo's bag? Because like throughout the whole entire live stream, he was talking about it while
Yeah. Yeah.
standing up and
Yeah.
fighting. But it's interesting. I love
Yeah.
finding new content creators and how they're
Mhm.
sharing their stories. Um, I don't
Yeah.
watch a lot of news these
Yeah.
days. If anything, I'm trying to find the more unfiltered stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And even just like the algorithms, right? They're not really supportive of breaking news, important breaking news, right?
Yeah,
They're based off of our behaviors, our comments, what we've seen previously. And when it comes to breaking news, it's just so different. And so essentially, these platforms like Twitter, Facebook, they're trying to crunch the data to figure out what is the most important thing that's going to
Yeah.
make you convert, right? Whereas Reddit or these other platforms that's just vote based, I it, there's something to be said about the simplicity of that allows true breaking news to be able to hit the top of the news,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I absolutely love Reddit for that too, and these subreddit communities are just so much information,
Yeah,
and
I feel like I find out
yeah,
more
it's just
about what's
amazing.
happening in San Diego, like the different
Yeah,
pockets of neighborhoods, by actually hanging
yeah,
out on Reddit. Not Nextdoor, not the Nextdoor app, because that's where you find Karens.
yeah,
Sorry to all my friends that are Karens, but it's true. I feel like Reddit is
yeah,
more. I could find things, and they're so. I love the community on Reddit because they're so like, and I have receipts, and then and they'll
yeah.
show you all the links about what's happening in your neighborhood, how to take a stand, especially like restaurants or stores are like, no, you don't have to wear a face mask, and it's just so interesting to find out what's happening in your neighborhood, and communities like Reddit make it.
And there's something to be said about moderators that are local, right?
Oh
That are
yeah.
immersed in the communities. And platforms like Twitter or Facebook, you have these moderators that you don't even know who they are. They're either a robot or
Mm-hmm.
they are somebody who is moderating all of Facebook. And I think really the difference is in these subreddit communities, you have a specific set of moderators that are one, active, and two, immersed within the communities that they moderate. And so the information flow and just what they want to protect for the community is really, really often, most often, what's best for the community.
Yeah.
And and I think definitely for Facebook, for Twitter, and even Instagram, they can definitely take a huge lesson in just the way content is moderated and
On Reddit, yeah.
passed through.
What do
Yeah.
you think about, because like let's say on Facebook when they're
Yeah.
trying to create like movements or like virtual
Mhm.
press protesting, I feel like
Yeah.
it's so easy to just take a group and then like delete it.
Yeah.
It's just like this doesn't follow our community standards and boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
Where do you see people organizing movements
Mhm.
right now? Because I've now started looking
Yeah.
at Discord. I'm like, what the hell's a Discord? I'm
It's
like,
like
can I have
another
a
Slack.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, can I have a Discord for Dummies book? Like, where do you find like what are the tools these days that activists are using to organize, get people on the same page, and to really empower their voices digitally across everywhere?
Yeah, so many streams right now, I think a lot of folks are moving towards more private communities and spaces to pass vital information. Um, so there's a lot of these chat applications that are private. And to find out what they are, they often start with these groups like Facebook groups,
Mm,
LinkedIn groups, or just private unlisted groups. And it's hard to find at first,
yeah.
but um, typically for me, it's through these friends that I have that I've worked with to do activism work, to create safe spaces, and it's usually word of mouth. It's not something you can just go on Google and go, okay, I want the biggest, uh, activist rally item that is in San Diego, right? And
Yeah.
find the specific group for it. I think it just requires a little bit of digging.
Yeah.
Reddit is also a great place to start, and I feel that a lot of the stuff in Reddit you can find through Google too, and so you kind of just have to like dig your way through, but it's definitely there. But if you've hit some of the private communities, definitely the level of content there is golden. It's really relevant.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that. Shout out
yeah.
to Renee Dobbin Johnson. You are new to the show, so it was so wonderful to hear you. I will read this to you, Stephen, because it's long.
Yeah.
But she says, we're relying less on traditional media to give us the news they want us to see. Social media is significantly
Hmm.
impacting network media, and I absolutely agree with
Absolutely.
that. Um, I go through my news feed, and it's so easy for me to see, Gavin Newsom, like our governor, what's
Yeah.
happening with COVID. Like, he's going to live stream that because some people don't have cable anymore. They're not watching the news. And it's so much easier for you to find it
Yeah.
on social media. And shout out
Yeah.
to all the social media folks, that are helping clients get their content out there because more of us are hanging out online. One question that I have for you, Stephen, is what about Telegram and WhatsApp? Do you see any of those mobile apps like being like a go-to destination for mobilizing these movements?
Yeah, for sure. WhatsApp is also a Facebook company too, so I know a lot of people are just very cautious about using Facebook products because of
Yeah.
the privacy and security behind it. But I think the beauty of all these platforms is just different things to do, right? One of the features of WhatsApp that some folks have been doing are these group threads
Yeah.
that are or how do you call it? Just one directional, meaning they can message out the entire group. Actually, no, it's bi-directional, but you can't reply back to the group. So it's almost like a newsletter
Mm-hmm.
where the person who's controlling it can message the entire WhatsApp group, and the folks receiving it, one, they can't see who's in the group, and if they
Oh,
want to reply, they can reply back exactly to the original sender. And so these platforms have really different ways of engaging with the community, and where I've seen just a lot of win has been through harnessing some of these really interesting features to be able to get the message out in the way you intend it to go out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, I was like, your front end developer experience is showing. Because I was like, wait, I have the perfect one for this. I was like, he said bi
Oh, yeah.
bi-directional?
Oh, yeah. I didn't
What?
even know. Yeah.
What's happening?
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
I was like, what did you just say? It's
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So Mike Alton is saying, oh my gosh, it's like the old list serve.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just so interesting because some people when I talk about social media, they think of
Yeah.
like the main platforms, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, your LinkedIn. But I feel like there's I I guess you would call it dark social, right? Because it's not really like for public view. It's more for creating your communities, and it's kind of like invite only, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I see a lot of groups really moving towards this invite-only model to vet the folks who want to join the group, really to create the safe space and the boundary for it. And especially with all these platforms, you have so many bots getting created, so many
Oh yeah,
accounts, right? Do you
yeah,
notice that on your social media channels, or it's just these
all the
these
time.
comments? It's just like all the time. It's just like
Yeah,
these aren't
uh,
people, these aren't human. Yeah.
yeah. I'm always like, I feel like 5 plus 7 equals what? Because before I before I answer this, I want to make sure that you are a real
Yeah.
human being. Um, it's so I'm gonna go off on a little tangent right now
Yeah.
because
Go for it.
you and I know social so much, and we know about how things are automated, and we know how things can be skewed, and sometimes even when I'm just hanging out on Twitter, yeah, to your point, I'm like, are you a bot? Is this your real profile photo? Am I really going to get fired up because I don't even know if you are a human being
Mm.
at all? So it's interesting to see the evolution of everything.
I mean, I think that's a really important thing to point out, especially as we start seeing comments that really fire us up emotionally, right?
Hmm.
Um, there's been a lot of leaks of Facebook's algorithm to show that emotionally charged words show up in our newsfeed more often because of how influential they are over our eyes, over our hands as we type, right?
Yeah.
Our voices. And what I always recommend to my friends and my community is the next time you see a comment that's being surfaced up, two things, right? One, understand that the platform itself is pushing it towards you because it knows that you have responded very emotionally to that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And second, if you don't know them, there is a likelihood that they could be a robot. No joke. And do you want to be investing 1 hour, 2 hours typing out a response to a robot that really is just meant to boost engagement,
Yeah,
right?
that's so true. It's like this
Yeah.
manipulation. I remember hanging out at Facebook F8 a couple years ago, and they were talking about all of the artificial intelligence that they go deep into the conversations. They see like there are certain trigger words and how
Yeah.
that could even factor
Yeah.
into the different algorithms. Um,
how long you're typing. It's so specific how long you're typing that comment. How long was that comment, right? What words did you use in that comment? And it goes to feed this gigantic machine that really the ultimate goal is for you to engage with the platform more,
Yes,
you know?
very, very true. Which
Yeah.
is another reason why and we're going to talk about live streaming to you guys. For
Yep.
those of you that are just tuning in, we're talking about live streaming and how it's transforming activism. But if you've noticed, we've all also talked about different social media platforms that not that many people are talking about or aware of. You know, shout out to Renee, who also knows that WhatsApp is so much bigger outside of the US.
Mhm.
I have a girlfriend of mine who teaches NLP in Greece, and WhatsApp is all the rage, and
Yep.
that's what they focus on. But before we
Yeah.
dive into that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Restream, for allowing Lights Camera Live to be across all of the different platforms. So let's give them a quick shout out. Our bridge to live streaming across all platforms has arrived. Restream takes care of the bandwidth and processing so you can focus on getting maximum visibility on your favorite platforms. To learn more, head on over to restream.io. Yay! And for those of you that want to give Restream a try, go ahead and check them out. You could go live on 30 plus platforms. We're actually live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of that. So go over to Restream/Hey Stephanie. You'll see it all there, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now let's talk about live streaming and how it's different. Ooh,
Yeah.
and how it's different across platforms. Because
Yeah.
someone had left a message today about there are some keywords that, well, you and I were just talking about. There are some keywords, if you say it, then all of a sudden it gets flagged, right? Because even the
Mhm.
Facebook employees, they're not all on site. So they're
Mhm.
heavily relying on AI. So if content gets moderated, it gets pulled down. And you're live streaming on different platforms. So I'd love to hear your take on like what are the pros and cons of each, especially
Yeah.
for the topics that you talk about and the communities that you serve.
Yeah, I think there's just so many different ways to engage with our community, and based on our topics is really sensitivity levels are so different too. Um, and I've been really conscious about whether something should be private or public, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely one thing that I ask myself first. And if we want to put it public, what are the streams to do so? And how are we leveraging that understanding that it's public? So, where I'm seeing a shift is a lot of the content that's being live streamed on Instagram or Facebook, a lot of activists are being more mindful of the stuff that they put on the camera, right?
Mm.
Hiding other activists, protesters' faces, ensuring that they understand whatever is being live streamed on their platform, anybody can access,
Anybody can
whether it's
access.
whether it's an activist or a law enforcement officer, anybody, right? And so, yeah, and then in terms of the private community, live streaming, what does that look like? You have Zoom, you have these teleconferencing softwares, and yeah, I think privacy is becoming very, very, very much important in that space, because some of these private spaces are starting to get hacked as well. So
Oh
trying to
yeah.
figure out, do we password protect it? When do we send out the password, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I feel like even in talking to friends that are going to um, these protests, they always have to have like a backup channel. Like, hey, if this
Yeah.
gets hacked, here's our next channel that we're going to do. And when
Mhm.
I'm hanging out on Reddit and I'm learning about like the Hong Kong protests and how they're just like, if you're going to live stream, make sure that everyone around you, their faces are covered because they have that facial recognition technology. And I'm like, oh, this is some Jason Bourne stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like that's insane. It's crazy. Um, but even just talking about live streaming into groups, that's one way that you can do it. I'm finding that other friends are also finding more impact by live streaming on Instagram, which is also
Mhm.
something that you do. Can you share any of like your lessons learned from live streaming on Instagram for your audience?
Yeah, Instagram is a really interesting beast. Definitely, uh, they, what I've noticed on Instagram is they have these thresholds, and once you
Mm-hmm.
hit a certain threshold of audience members watching a live stream, then somehow Instagram will promote it more to other folks. And so there are these tiers that you just want to hit to then get more people tuning into your live stream. Definitely a lot of my conversations, I get a lot of these requests from random folks to join the live stream. And I definitely, one of my biggest things that I had learned was to pre-vet folks I want to go on my live stream with me beforehand. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, let's just go for it, let's do it, and then it's just, okay, we need to cancel. Yeah,
Yeah, don't, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
yeah,
actually really quite brave of you. I was on another friend's show,
yeah.
and it involved with like a Zoom meeting, and she created like
Yeah.
this open link that anyone that's watching the show can go ahead and tune in.
Hmm.
Well, that
Yeah.
was the first time this year in 2020 that I was actually mooned by someone. And I think
Oh,
I was more or less just like, I totally manifested this because I knew that this is
yeah,
like in my mind, I was like, I don't know this audience. I've never
yeah.
seen them before. This link is open. You're brave for doing that, especially if you don't know who they are and you can't really vet them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all for giving, people their voice, but definitely I think that's something that we have to be really conscious of is we have to protect the spaces that we create,
Yeah.
especially as creators, we are spending so much time, so much energy to create these platforms. And while it may be very easy to just add someone else really quickly, um, we open the door to a lot of possibilities, and unless we can really quickly recover from it, shut it down really quickly, we just have to be ready for that.
Yeah. That's crazy to me. Yeah, I could just
Yeah,
I mean, I was cracking up
yeah,
when that happened in that Zoom meeting. I was like, "Oh, like it was so crazy because we were just like we're sitting there, right,
yeah,
Steven? And then this
yeah.
dude just like walks in, turns around, and I was like, "Oh." And it was so
Yeah,
lucky because she made me an admin, and I
yeah,
was able to like jump in there and kick him
nice.
out because she was focusing on the
Yeah.
show. So that was pretty interesting.
And on Zoom too, by all means, like go in, customize your settings for the Zoom call, make sure all of that is set up. And what I found really helpful with Zoom is the waiting room feature, especially when you have something that's very sensitive or something that's important, to be able to control the ebb and flow of folks joining, right? And so what I will do is if we're doing, introduction or we're talking about something, I'll just hold off on
Yeah.
adding new people and add people in batches and then reintroduce them at the same time. And I think with these platforms, we just have to work. The way I operate is just what is the end result that you want,
Yeah.
right? What is the message that you want to get across to whom? And then figure out what platforms work best. What I see a lot of people trying to do is, oh, I have this platform, let me just use it.
Mm.
But Zoom might be more powerful, Instagram might be more powerful, Facebook might even be more powerful. And if you get really pro with it, you can connect Facebook with your Zoom and you can live stream into your private communities, right? There's
Yeah.
so many ways to leverage these features. And it's just really, how do you want to get out there? How do you want your message to get out there to whom? Yeah.
Agree. And shout out to Renee. Girl, I am loving your comment. She says sometimes being more selective which platforms you broadcast makes for a
Yes.
better audience experience. And I couldn't agree more with that because some platforms will have features that allow that connectivity,
Mhm.
that opportunity to have like a private chat
Yep.
or allows people to book a meeting one on one if they want to organize
Yep.
something together, which I absolutely love. And like one of the reasons why I love Restream is because if I do talk about things
Mhm.
that Facebook might not like, right? Well, then I'm
Yeah.
lucky enough in the fact that I have Restream and I could clip back and know that at least I'll still be on LinkedIn, I'll still be on YouTube. And Ecamm Live is also even amazing because when I'm streaming, it's still keeping like a recorded
Hmm.
copy locally on
Yep.
here. Um, and I think even if you were live streaming on like let's say your mobile device, you could still connect
Yeah.
it to like a Restream RTMP
Yeah.
and then know that your broadcast is going to happen.
Yeah.
Did you
And
want to?
there's some nuances too. The thing I hate the most is with Instagram's 1 hour limit. And it's just like, you stream into Instagram and they will just shut you down after an hour. So
Wow.
if you're streaming on Instagram, you just have to be really conscious, even if you're using a native app or if you're using Restream to publish it out. Um, you got to wrap it up by an hour or else they're going to cut you off.
Oh, that's interesting.
And and there's issues with getting your content put on your profile when you do get cut off, especially when you're using a third-party software to stream into Instagram. Your clips just disappear. It's
Ah,
happened many times, yeah.
I could feel that. You're not saying it, but I feel the pain when you're creating
It's like,
content and then it
no, my stream.
disappears and you're like, wait a second, where did it go?
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, I want to give a shout out to the crew that is watching the show because, hold up one second. Let me do this real quick. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, we also have a wonderful giveaway for you guys. We're doing a Restream Professional giveaway where you could enter to get Restream Professional Pro. It allows you to go live on 30 plus destinations. And if you're tuning in and if you've been following the emails, because that's where I put all the goodies, my goodies, my goodies. This
Yes.
is where you're gonna find it. Go over to lightscamera.live/restream, enter the giveaway and the secret code. Do you see it? Do you see it? What
Yes.
is it? What is it?
Our old agency.
It's
Yeah.
Geary, because that is the agency where I met Steven, and it's Geary. That will give you bonus entries into the Restream giveaway. So, yay!
Do
Right.
it, do
So,
it, do it. Yeah.
I know, do it. It'll be fun. All right, so if you're just tuning in, we are talking about live streaming and how it's transforming online activism. We've talked about a whole bunch of different things. We've talked about RTMPs and Reddit. This is probably the first time I've ever talked about Reddit on this show specifically. We've talked about Telegram, WhatsApp, all these different ways that people are creating communities. I even love the fact that we kind of geeked out on Discord servers.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I think it's just we're seeing folks create so much amazing content and so many amazing movements, leveraging all these platforms, and especially with Black Lives Matter, seeing these town halls
Oh,
not just
yeah.
happen within companies, but within cities all around the world to just talk about these issues as a community, leveraging Twitch, leveraging all these different live streaming platforms. I think was just an amazing opportunity to just see how we can have these conversations in all these different types of formats. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's evolved so much. And even with my social media strategist group, I try to let them in on like these are new platforms that are happening. These are social media networks that are popular even outside of the US that you might want to be
Yeah.
aware of, because you might have more privacy, more security to build
Mhm.
your community on it. What are some what are some other tips you would have for other activists that want to organize something online? Like any best
Yeah.
practices, whether it's for a
Yeah.
queer community or um, just like the Black Lives Matters movement. Like, what are some things that you would add to that?
Yeah. I think my biggest advice is to not focus on your numbers.
Mm,
I think we're a lot of folks who are content creators, community creators, we're so focused on trying to get our numbers so high all the time. Like, I want a gathering of 100 people. But if you can change the lives of
mm,
two, three, four people, by all means, create the space for that. And where it resonates, it will echo, and other folks will join in on the movements that you're creating. Um, but yeah, I think the really important thing is also not to undermine your own voice. We all have so many intersections of our identities. We've gone through a whole life of, just so many experiences that have led us to this very moment, this very day. And there is definitely somebody else who will resonate with your story. And so, what it might start off as two people, three people, might grow into a whole tribe of folks who share the same story, same passion, same message. And so with that, experiment, right?
yeah.
different channels, and ask your community what resonates most with them. How are you able to engage and interact with them the best? Is it public or private, right? Is it one of these public spaces on Instagram, Facebook, or is it private, right? Zoom, or is it localized or more international, right? And so these are some of the things we just have to experiment with, play with, and over time, you will definitely figure out what works best. Yeah.
I agree. Michael Alton's saying is if you can change the lives of 2, 3, 4 people, by all means, create that space. And
Yes.
speaking of which, you have your Yellow Glitter podcast, which I will share on the screen. It was so funny. Stephen was like, "How do you do that?" I was like, "Oh, watch, it's magic." You want to tell them a little bit?
Magic.
It's magic. Okay. Tell them a little bit about the podcast. Where can they find you? Where can they learn
Yeah.
more? Because I love your story. I love seeing just
Yeah.
everything that you're working on and the community that you're building.
Yeah. Yeah, all of this has been created within the last year. I just started this podcast last August. Has grown so much since then, and is actually one of the very few queer Asian podcasts. There's 2 other ones that exist, and it started off just myself talking about my story, my struggles, things that I've gone through, and after putting it out there, I had folks resonating with it, guests resonating with it, and reaching out to say, I want to join you in talking about this. And so this podcast really is talking a lot about the queer Asian identity and the struggles, including first, second generation issues, racism, diaspora of Asian community here within the United States, and just even within the queer community, being Asian, and what does that look like, and what are the experiences of that. And so especially for content creators that might be watching right now, one of the scariest parts for me was to be very vulnerable with my story. And I found that the more I could open up, not in a way that's, like, I accomplished everything, I know the solution, I figured everything out, but just being open, like, I went through this, I don't know, how to go about, like, next year to, like, figure it out, right? And it just was just this love child of just wanting to put the story out there, just what I had gone through, and in hopes that other people will resonate and make them feel heard.
Oh, I love that. It's surprising to me that there was only 2 queer Asian podcasts, because when I was growing up in high school,
Very few.
when I was growing up in high school, I had tons of friends. They were queer, they were Asian, and just imagining now for me to be able to, like, I know Steven, you should go listen to Steven because he's gonna create that space for you. It sounds absolutely amazing.
And it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast. It's on all the distribution channels. So definitely subscribe and let me know if you listen to it. Let me know your thoughts. I'm always all ears, and you can definitely reach out to me via my Instagram at Stephen Wakabayashi, and just send me a DM. I'm very good about responding. People are surprised. They're like, you responded to me. I'm like, yes. I'm a machine.
You're like, yeah, I'm in quarantine. What do you expect, right?
Yeah, I have nothing to do. Yeah, please message me.
Somebody talk to me.
Yeah, somebody talk to me.
Sometimes I, like, randomly just call people on my portal. It's like this Facebook portal that sits in my kitchen. And I'm like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Hello. I need to talk to someone that's not a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Or like I'll call, like, my best friend, like Mike Alton or Ivan Hyman. I'm like, I have no words. I just want to cry. I want you just to drink wine with me and do that. But I love it. All right, so shout out to podcasts on Spotify is the latest trend now with video too. That's amazing. That's awesome. Oh God, Renee, I am loving her comments. I'm like, I need you on the show. It's a great way for people who aren't in those communities to learn those stories, struggles, and strifes, to be more empathetic. Yes, because some people just, they don't hear it. Like, even for me, it's weird. I haven't really left the house, but I had heard about face mask shaming, but I had
Mm-hmm.
never really experienced it. And then I went out with my daughter to Starbucks because Lord knows that I
Hmm.
just wanted a treat. I just
I
I
mean,
just wanted
yeah.
something. And I told this story to my friends where this woman was looking at me and I thought like, oh, okay, maybe she's a client, maybe she's a friend, maybe she knows my sister. And so obvious stuff. I'm like, hey. But then it
Mm-hmm.
actually turned out that she was glaring at me and my daughter. And I was like, ugh, like now she was saying something really negative. The wind picked up. My daughter's right next to me, covered her ears, and we just kept walking. And then Winnie's son, who I don't know if you know, and
Yeah.
Goldie Chan had been talking a lot about how Asians in particular were experiencing a lot of racism in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
heading into the
Yeah.
layer of face shaming
Yeah.
or face mask shaming.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, just sharing your stories on whatever platforms work best for you. It's crazy. I've never even shared this story publicly with people because look, I'm still like,
Processing it, right?
I'm
Yeah.
processing it. Stephanie wants to smash. Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
See, this is my homegirl Kelly
I.
Noble Bella. She says,
Oh,
"How dare she?"
yeah.
Yeah, girl, it happened, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut the screen over to
Yeah.
Steven.
But what I will say is, first of all, I'm sorry you had to go through that experience. There's so much happening around the world right now where a lot of folks are in not in a great place. A lot
Yeah.
of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of angst, anger, and I think how it's coming out of folks is just not in the best way.
Oh, it's so
And
unhealthy.
yeah, and my biggest advice, especially for community creators, if you have a circle of two, you are a community creator. And what I will say is, yeah, there's going to be a lot of things that come your way that is not, said in the best way. Some things who aren't not, some people who aren't nice. And you just can't let them take your energy away. You can't let
You're
them
so
drain your
calming. Your
energy.
voice is so calming. Because I'm like, boo, I
Yeah,
just drank Red Bull, and now just thinking about that woman gets me fired up again.
yeah. You gotta not give her the energy. You gotta not let her steal your magic and your energy from you.
That's
Because
true.
if you let her take that energy from you, then we wouldn't have this live streaming platform, this community, right? And I call them, I hate to say it, but I call some folks just vampires sometimes. They just want to latch on
Yes.
and suck your energy. And we just have to, as much as we safeguard our community, we have to do that for ourselves.
I love that you call
And
them
yeah,
vampires. But I also kind of love vampires though because they have glittery goldy skin. I would call them like dementors, like from Harry Potter. Do you remember? Like,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
happy,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and it
exactly.
takes away them. Oh, this someone says always film them. You take away their power if they see you filming them. Yeah, that was actually really interesting though. Had I been alone,
Yeah,
oh, oh, but I was with my daughter.
yeah,
And
it's
that's
very
the part where
different.
it's very different because
Mhm.
I am the example for her.
Yeah.
And yeah, whatever.
I mean, a couple ways, my tip for that is, um, first of all, you just got to keep yourself safe, right? No matter what, keep yourself safe. If it means to walk away from a situation, get somewhere else, by all means do that first. And then once you can keep yourself safe, then open up the phone, start recording, doing all of that. And unfortunately, there are cases where people have engaged with some folks and they unfortunately aren't here today with us
Very true.
because it was just not, the other person was just not in the space to have a conversation,
Yeah.
really. And so I think, yeah, we're in a very, very tough time right now, and there are so many things that's happening all around us, and we got to keep ourselves safe. And with the bandwidth that we have, that extra little bit, then figure out how we can put our energy out there to be activists.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, this is why
Yeah.
I love Steven. He just calmed me down.
Mhm.
All All right, guys. If you're tuning in, we've been talking a lot about just online activism in general. We've talked about how live streaming plays a part. We've talked about being mindful of safety, security, privacy. Um,
Mhm.
how it also changes on different platforms, like the opportunity to have your podcast, to have your live stream on different platforms, because you never know if it's going to be taken away from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions about Steven, please go ahead and ask. I know, type them. Shout out to Kelly Noble Mirabella. She says, "Mad respect to you, Mama. You did the best thing you could do for your daughter in that position." Yes, just that's
Absolutely.
the best
Yeah.
that I can do. And
Yeah.
again, if you want to follow Steven, Steven is absolutely amazing. You could Google him, you will find him everywhere. Steven Wakabayashi? Wakabayashi.
Oh, it's over here.
I was like, oh man, I should have had like a glitter overlay
Yeah.
to make that happen. I will make that happen for you. Trust me. Trust me. Trust
Yeah,
me. Well,
yeah. You
Steven,
can find me on my you can find me on my Instagram at Stephen Wakabayashi, Yellow Glitter. You can find it on all the podcast platforms. And yeah, you can visit my website, stephenwakabayashi.com, to see what I'm working on and all the different spaces that I'm creating.
okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, and if you want him on your show, please invite him because you know that he already knows so much. He's brilliant. We
Yeah.
need different voices. Sometimes I'm watching live streams. I'm like, man, I've seen this person on everywhere. Let's get some new people in there. Let's get some fresh
And,
blood.
reach out to me. I have so many other folks who are activists or just doing amazing things, and I love connecting the dots. And for sure, if it's not for me, I'm more than happy to connect whoever I have in my network. And that's what I've been doing with other podcasters and just connecting them with amazing talent, because I think equity starts from all of us. And for me, it's not taking up all the space for myself. And how do we share that? Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Oh, here's a question from Renee. Renee's question for you is, what's Steven's favorite platform?
Yeah.
What would that be?
Um, it's a mixed bag right now, to be honest.
Which one is it?
Actually, surprisingly, newsletters right now.
That's your favorite platform?
Favorite platform, but I would say Instagram right now is like the best social platform is Instagram right now because of the level of conversation that I'm having a lot with my followers. It's so organic,
Yeah.
And when there's stories, when there's posts, and all these content floating around, I think they've set it up so easily where you can message people
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I'll get DMs from all these folks, and I live stream on there, and I have some folks who just live stream with me every week who join in, and we just have amazing conversations. And yeah, I think where I struggle the most is with the feed, the algorithm portion
Oh,
of
I
it.
hate the feed.
And so,
For
yeah,
me, it's like,
yeah,
again, from IRL to URL, there are certain
yeah,
destinations that I know that I will go to. It's like my Facebook group, here, there. But the news feed, I definitely stay away from, especially on Facebook, because to me, it's more like a social, it's a echo chamber. People are
yes,
talking about the same thing all the time. And if I really want to get a different perspective, I have to step outside of my bubble.
yeah,
Here's something for you, Stephen. Someone is saying, Stephen, you should send a sound portfolio on Calm,
yeah.
the app.
Oh, let's do it. I actually host meditation sessions as well. So if you are an Asian or queer Asian, you got free meditation from me.
This whole interview, I feel like is.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
well,
I also shout out to also Renee's question. I just remembered right now, Reddit, right?
yeah.
Shout out to Reddit for just the amazing platform that they have and just being able to get news so quickly. Um, that is really what the community helps to vote on. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you
Yeah.
guys, this has been an amazing show. I can't even believe the time has already passed. It's already 2:55.
I know.
I could always talk to you forever. We could reminisce about
Yes.
good old 2011 and 2012. I kid you not, he doesn't look different
Yeah.
at all. Hashtag Asian but raisin. Stephen was actually one of the very few employees, when he would walk into the room, it would glow because his skin was just amazing. I was like, this is not fair.
But I was like a child too, so I was like, I want that skin back.
Everyone loves your
Yeah.
voice. Yeah. Okay. Well, we need to
Oh,
find
thank you.
your meditations. We'll link to it in the comments, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And then Kelly Noble Maribel says, I mean, you totally have the voice for meditation. It is so calming. I agree. I agree completely. All right. Any last words before we roll the credits?
I mean, I think the point I just want to stress again is we just gotta, protect our space, protect our energy, and I think the theme of this whole talk is just the importance of each and every one of our stories, right?
Yeah.
And just having that empathy that we want to give onto others, also for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Aw, Steven, I love you. I miss you. I know. All right, you guys. Let's see the. Okay, Mike Alton wants to see the credits. We'll do this. Ready for it?
Ready.
These are the credits, my friends. We're gonna add Steven in here too. What? Who is the audio mixer? Makeup? Isn't that the truth for all of us that are content creators? That is what we do, my friends. We do everything, so don't get it twisted.
Do you have like lighting there too?
I have executive in charge,
Yep.
lighting
Yeah.
designer. What else do I have?
Set design. Do you have set design?
I need to do set design. I was coming up with one where it would have like special cameos by Emmylou and all that stuff. But there you go. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Absolutely appreciate you. Talk to you later. Bye for now.